Let's come to order. I want to welcome everybody to our Monday, June 27, 2016 work session. Under old business, Quality Correctional Health Care Contract Renewal. Ms. McDuffie, you have update on that, don't you?
Yes, at the last county commission meeting, this was tabled, and Mr. Barkley, the attorney for Quality Care, mentioned that the company would be open to a 90-day.
Pull the microphone up to your mouth.
I'm sorry, for a 90-day extension for us to be able to renegotiate the contract. And so the letter that you have in your packet is them agreeing to a 90-day extension.
Yeah. Any questions on that? Under regular business, review of minutes from the June 13, 2016 Commission meeting. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, a review of memorandum of warrants for a period of June 2nd, 2016 through June 20, 2016. Ms. McDuffie.
The memorandum of warrants for the period stated is $1,521,000.
Thank you. Any questions on the memorandum of warrants? Under new business, Angie Spackman, a Doolin House office space lease in the old County Board of Education building. Ms. Spackman.
Yes, sir. We submitted a letter to you a few weeks ago requesting that we be allowed to lease that building. We've spent the last few months hunting for a building in the downtown area that we could use to house the offices of Adullam House, and have looked at several facilities. We needed about 10 office rooms, and we also needed some road frontage so that we could make Adullam House more public, in the public eye, because many people say to me, "Oh, you're from Adullam House, aren't you a thrift store on 231? And they see the thrift store on 231, but they don't see Adullam House, which of course is a children's home for children of incarcerated parents, and has been operational in this county for over 20 years and helped hundreds of children, and presently has 35 children resident there at the moment. But we really need to be more in the public eye as we're growing, and at the moment this is a great time of expansion for Adullam House. We've been asked to take care of some children in orphanages in Eastern Europe, which is a huge undertaking for us, 4 separate orphanages, and we've been working on that over the last year, and it looks like that's going to be a reality. So it's a great time of expansion for us. We need to have a much more professional face, and we became aware of the expansion in the downtown area, how it's being more publicized, how the new landscaping and everything that's taking place, and we really felt this would be a wonderful opportunity. So we started to look in that area, and I was very aware of the old Board of Education building. I kept looking up there at the building and wondering, is it for sale or has it been used for a long time? And I hunted around to try and find out who owned that building, and eventually my trail led me to Mr. Byer, and we met with him. We walked through the building. I asked him about the road frontage and the old Thames Pharmacy underneath, and he gave us as much information as he could and suggested that we put a proposal forward to the board. And so we submitted that, and if you have any questions for me, we'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Is there any questions from anybody?
You're not from around here, are you?
I've been here for 30 years.
Oh, where are you originally from?
England.
England. Now, Mr. Spackman, is he from New Zealand?
No, he sounds like it, doesn't he? He's from Liverpool, England.
I see. Well,
Yeah.
I've spoken to him a few times.
Yeah, he's in
got
Ireland
a little
right
bit
now.
different accent.
So.
I think Mr. Byers got some comments.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, in addition to the proposal that was put forward, we had some additional information in your packet that kind of mirrored the pregnancy center, a similar type lease that you have entered into with another group at a building that the county owns and cannot dispose of. You must continue to use it for public purposes. And so you've got that in your packet as well. And I think what we're asking for tonight for y'all to consider is that this is for information purposes only, to where something could be drafted up for your consideration at a future meeting.
Yeah, I think that the issue has been that that building, that the old Board of Education building, is deeded to the county in such a way that the county can never do anything with it. We have to keep possession of it. And I think they're going through our Blueprint 2020. It was looked at, that building was looked at to see if it could be utilized for any type of office space or anything that the county needed, and it was determined that really that space is surplus. And
Can
given
I add something kind of along this line as well? We have a facility called Mary's Place where we house some of our mothers that we've been caring for their children, and we reunite them there and kind of, help the mother in the transition back with her child. And we had a beautiful, beautiful house about 9 miles away from here that we were allowed to use for this purpose, but the family, the trust that owns that house, have decided to sell it. So Mary's Place has been displaced. And the family that owned the house are 3 siblings and have each pledged to donate $50,000 to help us purchase a new Mary's Place. However, the building that our office is presently in is ideal for Mary's Place. It's just perfect for it. So from there we went to, why don't we relocate our office and allow Mary's Place to move into what is now our office? And we asked the family, would they allow us to use that money to purchase our office? And so that has given us some funds with which we originally thought we were going to purchase a new office, but when we found out that we could only lease it, however, I heard that it needs to be rewired, that there's some asbestos there that would need to take care of, and quite some big undertakings. I think it would almost take that $150,000 to accomplish all that we needed to do, to put a new facade on it in keeping with the new face of the downtown area. So we do have funds allocated that we can do that work with, and I think that's something that has to be done immediately to the building.
Yeah, I think that what the issue is going to become, once we had just Eric and the EMA office just moved out of that building, and it's basically empty except for maybe the veterans
and mental health
officer, which that person will be relocated to the courthouse once the annex is completed.
Mr. Chairman, the space that they're asking to lease is the entire upstairs, which is about 4,000 square feet, and then about 1,000 square feet where the old pharmacy used to be. The other offices would be in a position where those could actually be subleased out later in the future, or you could set it up to where they could lease those as well. So
this would be a way to let the building be utilized for something, be rehabilitated, and not become a maintenance issue for the county in the future. So I appreciate that. And so we're asked tonight is just for information only, just get a proposal together and
yes,
get it
sir.
to the commission.
If y'all would allow us, we'll help work a proposal up with the attorney that we could bring back to you for further consideration, if that is acceptable to the commission.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Well, I did have one. I know that place was in bad shape. I'd been up in it as a maintenance guy. Who's going to be responsible for the repairs to this building?
They would.
They would. Okay.
We will.
All right.
Yeah, I think that it's just like the pregnancy center where they assume complete responsibility for the maintenance of the building, and I think that's what.
I understand that the pregnancy center are on a 10-year lease, but because we are going to have to put such a large amount of money into the building, we wondered if the board might consider a slightly longer lease. I know what we proposed was probably outrageous, but $150,000.
Well, I think that's part of the negotiations, that we can certainly talk about that, and then, once we get a firm proposal back to the commission, then we can say yes or no on that.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, Taylor C. Vice, Director of Charter Governmental Affairs, the Charter Franchise Extension.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, other commissioners, appreciate the opportunity to come before you today. As you may or may not know, Charter Communications has merged with Bright House Networks. Currently in Elmore County, Charter Communications has a franchise agreement as well as Bright House Networks. The Charter Communications franchise is currently expired. The Bright House franchise agreement currently expires in 2020. The goal would be to combine those documents into one document and be going off of one franchise agreement. So simply what you've got before you today is a franchise extension document that would extend the Charter Communications franchise to match the expiration date of the Bright House Networks franchise. And then at that point in 2020, hopefully we'll all still be here, but we will renew that franchise as one combined document.
Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions or
So we're not
concerns.
changing anything, other than, we're just gonna continue on with the same agreement
That's
for
exactly
2020?
right. So the way cable law reads today is if a franchise is currently expired, as y'all's is with Charter, it continues to go off the old terms, and so that's all we'll do. We'll continue to go off the current franchise agreement, the same terms, until that expiration of 2020.
Okay, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Marianne Fornell, Forel, I think, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Elmore County Public Schools, the HIPPY program, is Marianne here? I don't see her. If she comes in, we'll let her. Next, Lisa Finley with the CETA, Farnborough 2016 sponsorship.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity first. And after the last Commission meeting, you all received a letter from our organization requesting a $5,000 sponsorship. This is a partnership that we've had with the state of Alabama since ACETA's inception. So every year, the Commission has helped us to participate in this mission with the state to recruit industry. As the letter said, they've not gone up in the last, well, ACETA's, we've been here since 2002, I guess, and it's been the same amount every year. You did not participate last year. I'm not sure why. We basically had to go and collect those dollars from private industry. But as I said before that, last time, you've always done that. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. I think the letter was pretty self-explanatory.
I have a quick question. Is this something that was submitted in conjunction with your requested appropriation this year as a budget item, or is this something above and beyond what was in your budgeted amount that comes
This
from the
amount has
commission?
always been above whatever the appropriation was for the budget year by the Commission for ACETA.
Okay. Any questions from any commissioners?
So actually, ever since about 2002, in every air show, we partnered with the Department of Commerce, the state of Alabama, and did $5,000 as Elmore County Commission, not particularly the CETA.
Correct. And it gives us an opportunity to be on an international stage with cities like Mobile and Huntsville, and otherwise, if the state did not allow us to participate at the same level, we wouldn't have those opportunities. So it truly is a partnership between Elmore County and the state of Alabama.
Any questions? Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Next, consider agreement with U.S. Department of Agriculture and Natural Resource Conservation Service for emergency watershed protection grant to repair to site damage during the December 2015 flood event. Mr. Byer.
Mr. Chairman, these are the agreements on Dozier Road and Willow Springs that we have been awaiting for repair to those two sites. It's roughly $250,000 in total repairs. A little less than $200,000 of that is federal. The rest is local cost share, which we can do in-kind services.
Thank you. Any questions? Next, discuss Elmore County ADA Transportation Transition Plan.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this plan has been advertised for the last month or so. This is a plan that inventories and details out how we deal with ADA issues on our transportation network. We have very few facilities right now in unincorporated areas of Elmore County. We have some that are in subdivisions that are privately maintained, the sidewalks and bike trails, but this is our plan of action for transition. This is something that is being required of all the MPO areas in the state as part of their federal transportation plan.
All right, thank you. Any questions? I think this is something we've been working with the MPO on for a while.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Are any questions on that? All right. All right, hearing none. Next, discuss building purchase proposal. This is a building that will be utilized by the Sheriff's Department.
I believe, good afternoon, gentlemen. I believe each of you have the proposal. Our office space is not adequate at this point. We've been there for 10 years through some negotiation between rent increase, because we've been renting the place for 10 years. It's become available for purchase for the building, which would give us adequate space, along with the engineer's office, actually some space also. It adjoins county property. From the financial figures from the proposal, as you guys saw, if you read it, then it would actually, long term, it's going to end up saving the county some money. And the actual price in the proposal is an asking price, and through some of the negotiations through it, we've actually got Mr. Reiser with an agreement of $315,000, which is considerably less from the original asking price of $372,000. That's from the mathematics alone, it seems like quite a smart choice to save us what we're paying in rent each year. Now we're already paying nearly $20,000 a year in rent. So
yeah, that's as you're aware, we had an appraisal done, and it's significantly asking price is significantly less than the appraised value of the property. So, any questions on this?
I just wanted to mention, what was the square footage on that building?
the entire building square footage is 10,500 square feet.
I just wanted that to be heard.
Sir?
I said I just wanted that to be heard, what the square footage
Absolutely.
on it was.
Yeah,
And that will also include, I don't remember what the acreage was. It was
1.43.
1.43 acres of land that comes back to join the county property also.
yeah, and there's no way that the county could build this same size building for $315,000. So I think and for the long-term investment for the county, I think that this is going to save money in the long term. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, discuss resolution with Town of Elmore to the paving and maintenance of a portion of Politic Road. Mr. Byer, do you have anything on this?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as we do with a lot of our municipalities, we do work for reimbursement, and we are doing some projects with the Town of Elmore, a couple roads that they are participating in to pave their portion, with the anticipation the county will pave one of them, Mercer Road. The other one is all in the town limits, Lucky Town. But they had 3 roads on their list, Politic Road being one of them, and they were short the funds to be able to pave that stretch. But you have to go from the city to the county to the city again to actually access their stretch of road. So we sat down with them and talked through, and we have come up with a plan similar to what we did with the city of Millbrook, where they wanted to do a lot of road work, or a lot of work on one of the county roads, and the right-of-way was tight. They are willing to, in lieu of paying for the work on their stretch of road, which is about 900 feet of road frontage on Politic, they're willing to have the county pave our part and their part. Our part is about 1,800 feet, and then they're willing to take over the whole 2,700 feet and take us out of a strip of land that we get a lot of complaints about, and there's a lot of traffic on that stretch. Once you leave the city part, you get back to a more rural nature of the roadway. So rough cost about $36,000 for materials, and equipment and labor. So most of that is in-kind services that we could provide to do this work. I'd probably say, rough estimate before I came in here, I was looking at is about $9,000 actual material costs that we're going to spend on this. So, Commissioner Falk, do you have anything else? Because you...
No, I think it's, comparable to what we've done in other municipalities, and I know that it is a problem spot for us, and I get the phone calls too, and I think this is a very good idea. I want to thank you and Mayor White for working on it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Falk. Any other questions or comments? Next, consider FY 2014 reallocated Homeland Security grant funding. Mr. Jones, do you have anything on this?
Yes, gentlemen, this is a grant in the amount of $5,785 for the purchase of a trailer. It's an enclosed trailer to be used as a quick response trailer for our hazardous materials response program with the fire departments. It'll actually give us the ability to enhance that capability of being able to respond to hazardous material spills over in the western portion of the county. We've already got most of the equipment that we can build out this capability on this trailer to be able to put it in the western part of the county somewhere for the fire departments to respond quicker to hazardous materials calls. This is no cost to the county other than just simply maintaining the trailer. It's a 100% grant. No local funds have to be put into it at all. So we've also got a grant, just have not received yet, but we're very close to having another grant in the neighborhood of $12,000 or $13,000 for the dive team as well. It's similar to this. It'll be more for equipment for them rather than a trailer, but that's what this is.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions? Next on the consent docket, approved travel memo and approved 20-hour sick leave donation from Richie Byer to Cole Cousins. Any of these items any commissioner wants to pull out for separate consideration?
Mr. Chairman, there was an omission in addition to the 20 hours from me to Cole Cousins. There should have been two other employees with the same amount. It would have been Kevin Boone and Chris Welch. So if we could add that for the business meeting, I would appreciate that.
All right, without objection. Next, under personnel notifications, hire of Ashley Marshall, part-time correction officer, replace Jay Caton, effective 6/26/16. Those are personnel actions for this meeting. Next, reports to the commission. Ms. McDuffie, do you have a report tonight?
Yes, sir, Chairman, I do. Tonight, I've got a couple of things, three things that I would like to mention. At last meeting, 6/13, the County Commission approved a memorandum of understanding for each of the cities that wanted to use our HAVA machines for the municipal elections in August. And I just wanted the Commission to know that the city of Elmore, Millbrook, and Wetumpka have responded to that. The other cities have not yet. One other thing, the audit review from ADECA for the domestic violence FY12 and FY13 grants and the drug task force grant of FY13. I received it today, sent you guys a copy. They met ADECA audit policy standards. There were no audit findings, and so no other additional nothing else we have to do on that. So that was a very good audit. I sent a recognition to Todd and Audrey and Beverly Stone and the DA concerning this. They are the ones that actually keep up with these grants on a day-to-day basis, and I appreciate all their help that they do on these grants. Another area, I just wanted to give the Commission an update on the appropriation request that we have received to date for the FY17 budget. We have received a request from the Sickle Cell Foundation, from the Heritage Training and Career Center, the Cancer Wellness Foundation, the Elmore County Health Department, Envision, the Community Action Agency, and the Elmore County Conservation District. That's all. Any questions for me?
Any questions for the administrator? Thank you, Ms. McDuffie. Next, Highway Department report. Mr. Byer, do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, the only item I had for a report tonight was that we have believe we've completed all the work with the new Corn Creek Access Road. The paddling club has been in since the weekend working on getting their portion of the road back up to standard and fixing areas around the recreational part, the grills and things like that. And we would like to propose that the commission would allow us on the 11th, right before the next commission meeting at 4 o'clock, to have a ribbon cutting out there for the paddling club. They would like to have a little ceremony out there to officially open that. And unless the commission sees that a better time, we'd say to do it, say 4 o'clock that afternoon, and that way y'all will already be here for regular business. And we'll invite the city of Wetumpka and their officials as well, since they participated in the project with the county and the paddling club. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have in the way of a report. Do you have any questions of me?
No questions. Any questions? I do have a comment, though. I do appreciate you working in conjunction with the paddling club and the city of Wetumpka to make this happen. I know that it kind of turned the park upside down when we went in and did all that construction up there, and we had to limit access back to that part of the property. But I appreciate you trying to work and find a solution to get this park back open for the community, and I thank you.
My staff and the employees have done a good job at that. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Next, emergency management, Mr. Jones.
Yes, gentlemen, we've been working through our MAC group meetings with all of the stakeholder agencies. We've been holding those meetings at the EOC. We've had some very successful meetings. Also hosted a lot of training classes. We've hosted a couple of the CPR AED training classes, and then we also had a forklift safety training class for volunteers that was held up there. That was a very successful class as well. And then last week we had a standardized hazardous materials and WMD awareness course up there that was really good. Had a lot of interaction and participation from across the region in that class. Also, last week we did receive a notice of funds availability for our hazard mitigation grant program. This funding will be funding that is a result of being part of the declared counties in the December 2015 storm events, and we're receiving just a little over $52,000 to go towards mitigation grants, or mitigation projects, I should say. We are pulling our stakeholder organizations together on July the 8th at 9 in order to identify and prioritize the mitigation projects or efforts we want to try to fund through that funding source. So we're very excited about that. And then we're also continuing to work with Mr. Mike Watson with 2WR and Bullard Cook on closing out everything that we've got to close out on the EOC building project. But do y'all have any questions of me at this time?
Any questions from Mr. Jones? How close are we on getting that project closed out? Are we getting very close, or have we still got some issues?
We've still got just a couple of items that the general contractor's got to make right. We're going to make sure that they do that. And I think we're very close now. We're closer than we have been. So I hope within the next month to 6 weeks we'll be finished up with that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Certainly.
Next, County Attorney, Mr. Weller, do you have anything tonight?
I don't have any report, but I do have some additional questions about the charter franchise extension. As I was sitting here, a couple of things came to mind, and I would like to know if I could ask a couple of questions of the charter representative real quick.
Sure, that's no problem.
Yeah, Mr. Vice. And the reason I'm asking you questions is because we have two other franchises that have been granted by the county, to Comlink and to AT&T.
Correct.
And what we try to do is to keep those franchise agreements uniform so that no one franchise has an advantage over the other. And I haven't had an opportunity to take a look again at the charter. But what I'm trying to understand is that I understand that Charter purchased Bright House. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Are you basically trying to fly under the Bright House agreement that we renegotiated a couple of years ago? Because that one ends in 2020.
That's accurate.
Is that what you're doing? So,
I mean, it's no means in flying under the radar, but what would be ideal is in 2020 we will combine those two documents into one document. And so that way, the county does not have two separate franchise agreements that might be different terms, et cetera. And so at that point, we'd combine them into one document.
Well, when does the, I don't have the charter agreement in
It
front of me.
expired in 2012.
So it's gone, okay, all right.
It's still in place. It's just going on expired terms.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. And you just want to wait until the Bright House expires in 2020 to combine it under
Correct.
a single
Because
agreement.
if we went through the process of renewing a franchise today, we'd be back in 4 years doing the same thing.
Right.
And at that point, we'd be able to combine the two.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Weller. Any questions? Got anything else? I guess not. Okay. Next, important calendar dates, Ms. Erb.
Monday, July 4th, the courthouse will be closed in observance of Independence Day. Saturday, July 16th, that is a date change from the usual schedule, will be the next countywide cleanup from approximately 9 to 1 at all the locations. And Monday, July 11th will be our next commission work session with business meeting.
All right, thank you. Next, reports to the commission. Mr. Taylor, do you have a report?
I do not have any, thank you.
Commissioner Falk?
Not this time, sir.
Commissioner Rachel?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here, and I deeply apologize for the heat. We have went through 2 air conditioners, and we can't get it right. So maybe the next one we'll have it nice and cool. That's all.
I agree. I have nothing, but I do want to read a comment that we did get to our website, and this is in conjunction with our 9/11 monument or memorial out on the front lawn. We got this in from Justin Gray. It says, "This is great. Not that we as veterans need a pat on the back, but it's always a way to show our gratitude for the thanks that you give. Thanks so much, Elmore County. You continue to do great things." And I do appreciate his recognizing. We want to try to continue to add names up until the end of July, I believe it is. So if anybody else that's not on the monument at this time, but they have until the end of July to get us that name so we can get it on there for our rededication of the monument in September. I'm going to adjourn our work session and get the agenda ready. Let's come to order. I want to welcome everybody to our business meeting. I'd like to ask Mr. Eric Jones to lead us in our invocation and Commissioner Trey Taylor to lead us in our pledge.
Let us pray. Dear God, we come to you tonight and just thank you for all of the many blessings that you bestow upon each of our lives each and every day. Dear God, help us not to take you for granted. Help us to not take your love for granted. And dear Lord, just help us to be busy about the work you would have us to be each and every day and sharing your love with others, dear God. Dear Lord, again, just help us to remember those who are serving our country overseas in our military, dear God. We just pray for your protective hedge around them. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's stand for the pledge. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Taylor?
Here.
Commissioner Falk?
Here.
Chairman Bowen?
Here.
Commissioner Rachel?
Here.
Commissioner Daniel Smoke?
Under old business, a motion to approve or deny Quality Correction Healthcare contract extension for an additional 90 days for renegotiation of the long-term contract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Under regular business, a motion to approve the minutes from the June 13, 2016 commission meeting as presented in the work session.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Have a motion to approve memorandum of warrants for June 2nd, 2016 through June 20, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
A motion to approve and deny charter franchise extension through August 26, 2020 to coincide with the Bright House franchise agreement.
Motion table.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Motion to table, any discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Next, a motion to approve or deny participating in cross-sharing with other communities, $5,000 per community at the Alabama-sponsored booth at the Farnborough International Air Show, and amend the budget as necessary.
Motion to, go ahead.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Next, a motion to approve or deny authorizing county engineer to execute agreement with U.S. Department of Agriculture Natural Resource Conservation Service for emergency watershed protection grant to repair site damage during the December flood event.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Motion to approve or deny Elmore County ADA Transportation Transition Plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Next, motion to approve or deny building purchase proposal for CADTF.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Motion to, okay. Motion to approve, deny resolution with Town of Elmore to paving and maintenance of a portion of Politic Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Motion to approve, deny 2014 reallocated Homeland Security Grant Funding Agreement and authorize chairman to execute.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Have a motion to approve the consent docket.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
Anything further, Ms. McDuffie?
No, Chairman, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Byer, do you have anything further? Mr. Jones? Mr. Weller?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Falk?
Yes.
Chairman Bowen?
Yes.
Commissioner Rachel?
Yes.
We're adjourned.